What is up, Generation One family? We are so excited that you are joining us again for another amazing podcast. Today, we are talking about healing from low self-esteem. And I don't know about y'all, but self-esteem is kind of a sensitive topic for a lot of people.
Sure.
And we were already feeling it in the room today when we were just talking about it. We're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to get vulnerable. But we are so excited because this is something that needs to be talked about. And also, it's the second ever ladies chat. So it's just the girls today. I mean, and not that like the boys can't stay. Like if you're a boy and you're in the chat, you can stay. Like we'll give you like this one pass. But it's the fun ladies chat today. So I'm super excited for that. Are you guys feeling good?
Yes.
Good? Awesome. Well, let's get into it.
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to start off can we just jump right in?
Let's do it for it. Yeah.
What are some self-esteem issues that you've dealt with or are currently dealing with? Very heavy question.
I mean, I can definitely think of a few that come to mind. I kind of want to start with physical, because I think that that's something that men and women deal with, is physical low self-esteem issues. But I know for me, growing up as a young Black girl, in a community where it was predominantly white or just another kind of race, I know that growing up it was difficult to be around, and nobody really looked like me. And it's so funny because it's the tiniest things, my mom saying, you better not get your hair wet at school because you know what's going to happen when you get your hair wet. And seeing that all my, white friends can go and get their hair wet and everything's fine. But if I get my hair wet, not only am I getting my butt whooped, I'm also going to have to deal with, the frizz and the curls. But you want to be free as a girl. And that was something that I couldn't do and experience. So even that little thing was oh, I'm less than because I don't get to experience this. To even the color of my skin, I know growing up too, again, not a lot of people looked like me. And so I remember, this is going to get real, real deep, all right? Real personal. I'm letting you guys in and I'm letting y'all in. I used to literally not let myself into the sunlight. I used to literally be I cannot, I can't get any darker because if I get any darker, then I don't feel accepted. Because even growing up and watching TV shows, the one girl I could count on was Raven from That's So Raven that looked like me. And even she is kind of a lighter skinned woman. So growing up for a long time, I was not comfortable literally in my own skin. And I was trying to change it and contort it to what I thought was culturally acceptable. And I think that that's something that, people and grown women are dealing with today. I was just doing an interview for a project that I'm working on. And there was a 50-something-year-old woman who was still dealing with self-esteem issues as it relates to the color of her skin and was just getting free from that. So I think that it's something that more people are dealing with than not. So yeah, I'll start there. There's definitely more, but I could definitely start with that.
Yeah. Wow.
It's funny. I feel like I had opposite of you. Because I was the lightest one in my family, and both of my parents are darker than me, so I would always get asked are you adopted? And stuff like that, or oh, that's just Rin's friend. We're just if you guys didn't know, we're blood sisters, same mom and dad. Yeah. We don't really look alike, but we are.
We do look alike when we smile, though.
That's true. So mine was opposite. I always felt like the odd one out because I was so light. My family members were more brown skin. So I would feel and then I would feel tempted to lie and tell people that I was mixed. So growing up, because I was so light, and they would always be I would literally get people asking me why are you so light? Is your mother a white woman? Is it straight up asking me that because I was so light skinned? So I feel it was opposite for me. Weird. So I kind of felt very out of place in that way. And another one, as far as when it came to body image issues, growing up, all of my cousins were really skinny. And I always had little mommy doll bones. You know what I mean? And so even in that, that's something that I struggled with for a while. Even now, I think I've gotten a lot better. I've taken a lot of steps to, just learn to really, really just love the skin that I'm in, love the body that I'm in. But struggling with body dysmorphia and stuff like that has been a major thing in my life. Eating disorders, starving myself and stuff like that was a common thing that I went through that I didn't tell most people. I mean, I feel people probably noticed because I would eat barely anything a day, an apple, some broccoli, maybe a piece of toast. So I feel like people around me maybe noticed. But that was definitely stuff that I dealt with growing up. A little less now, but growing up, yeah, for sure.
We dealt with a lot of the same stuff because being mixed, I always got the questions of like, not really the questions, but like the eyes of like, I'm not quite Black enough.
Yeah.
Then I'm also not white enough.
Right.
And so I dealt with like a lot of identity things growing up. And I would do the opposite of you. I would stay in the sun because I'm like, nobody that, I found this a lot. And also growing up, just where I grew up, it was just like, there's just a lot of issues. Yeah. But I was like, well, if my white side, not my family, I love my family, but if like white people won't accept me and say, oh, well, like you're mixed or like you have a little bit of white in you, I'm like, I'm gonna tan.
Yeah.
Because at least like I can sort of feel like I belong somewhere, but it kind of felt like I don't know, like I didn't know who I was. And then it was like, because I was mixed, I would have people like on my Black side who were more like full and like just like I don't know. And I grew up seeing that, and I'm like, why don't I have those curves? Why am I so skinny? And so I then dealt with eating disorders as well. And so I relate to you two so much with what you were saying. Like I dealt with that. And I still deal with that because, I mean, if it's so instilled at you at such a young age, it takes such a long time to undo it. Like even to this day, like when I put stuff on and I like look in the mirror and I'm like, you look like a little stick. Like I can't say that to myself anymore because like words have like meaning. They have like weight. I can't just like pop off and say comments like that about my body.
Absolutely.
Like I worked too hard on my like self-esteem to just like crash it all and to make a little comment. And so so I feel you guys. I feel you.
It's so crazy because I relate to all of you guys. And with the race thing, so I grew up in Oxnard, which is predominantly Asian and Hispanic. And then my family moved to like Agora Hills, Westlake area, which is predominantly Caucasian.
Oh, yeah.
And the switch was real. And I remember, do you guys remember when Urban Outfitters came with those shirts that was like, everybody loves an Asian girl or Irish or like it had whatever nationality it was. So I wore one that said, everybody loves an Asian girl. And I remember I went to the bathroom and there was like this popular, beautiful Black girl. I think there was like maybe like 2 Black girls there. And I always thought she was so pretty. And then she came in the bathroom and she looked at me and she's like, you're not Asian. And I was like, and it's crazy because I always had this thought of, you look mostly Mexican, so don't like when people ask you, you don't have to mention that you're Filipino or Japanese or anything like that. And so that stuck with me, and it literally made me stop saying like, oh, I'm Hispanic. And then sometimes people would be like, are you Filipino? And I'm like, you see it?
Wow.
Like I would get so excited because I shut that part down so much after that incident. So yeah, it's crazy how words can just like stay in you. But then like you said, you take that time to fight it. And then when something else comes up or someone says something, it's like, no, I'm going to set this boundary because I remember how much I let it affect me before.
Yes. So true. Yeah. Like I think that, it's so crazy because it will follow you into adulthood. But I think that my thing now is just like, I will attack it as soon as I see it. Like to this, like literally to your point. Cause it's like, if I don't like, if I'm seeing, I'm like, I'm going to literally rub my skin. I'm going to be like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, and you almost have to like, do the opposite, like go to the other extreme. Like, oh, like I'm going in the sun. I love to tan. You know what I mean? Like I you know what I mean? Like just doing things proactively and actively to like get your mind out of it because it's so easy, especially as a child, you are so like just prone to influence that it really does take like intentional repetitive work to get back to a place because you think those little insecurities aren't going to try to come back every once in a while. Like they are going to try to come back. You could be years into feeling confident and feeling secure, and every once in a while it's going to be like, you looked a little, you look a little extra something today, or, you look a little extra pudgy today, or you look whatever, like it will try to sneak back. And that's why you almost have to like be proactively combating it every single day. And it's hard and it takes work. But like but then you also have to think of the alternative. What if I don't? Then I'm just going to allow the thoughts of the enemy to change my own mind about myself. Because at the end of the day, it's your mind. You have power to exercise your mind.
It almost makes me think of like your self-esteem, like your low self-esteem can affect you so much that like it even alters like the way that you go about in life. Like you could be operating out of a place of low self-esteem that's like so negative. Like I know for me, because I had low self-esteem, I thought I needed to be in a relationship to be worth something. And so like in high school, I was like, if I do not have a boyfriend,
Yeah.
I am nothing.
For sure.
Like, and I referred to myself as like Naomi and like whoever I was dating. It wasn't ever just Naomi. It wasn't ever just Nay. You know, and I had to find my identity in that because I'm like, without a man to tell me that I am beautiful and that I am this, I am that, or you're so gorgeous, or to like treat me in that way, like I didn't see that. I needed someone to tell me that. And so then that led to like really bad relationships and like really awful situations that like I'm sad I had to go through. But it's like, it was all because of low self-esteem. And it's crazy how it can get you into so many awful situations and places. So
Yeah. I think what I want to like really focus on is that first it comes with a thought, right? And we're all saying like, oh, I used to think this way. And PT brought it up. If it's against you, it's not really coming from you, right? And it's so crazy how these thoughts start and then we almost put them into action. Like you not going in the sun, me not even want to share that I'm Asian, body dysmorphia. Like it's if we continue to meditate on those things, the fruit is our action. Us stepping into it and agreeing with it. So just keep in mind whenever you have those thoughts, like Ren said, go to the other extreme and combat it. Like when actually yesterday, I remember I used to binge eat like really bad when I would get stressed out. And now I've come up with a more healthy way. I'll eat fruits instead of like a bad thing or something like that. But yesterday I was like, why just take the pressure off of it completely? And I had toast for breakfast and then I had toast for lunch, but they were both like healthy forms of toast and not thinking of it as like, oh my gosh, I'm eating too many carbs now or I'm going too far in eating bad, you know? So just kind of just be more present and bring yourself back to reality and be like, you know what I'm doing isn't that crazy. You know, I'm doing it out of love. I'm feeding my body healthy foods and just like changing the narrative in your mind.
Yeah. That's the difference. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it is about coming from a place of love. Like I didn't start seeing myself better. Like me trying to work out because I hated my body never helped. Like even if I was like, even if I was losing weight, you know what I mean? Starving myself, whatever, losing, you know what I mean? Even if I was losing weight, like it never really helped though at the end of the day because it was still coming from a place of hate. It was never enough. I could have been 80 pounds. It still wouldn't have been enough because it's coming from a place of hate. But it wasn't until I was like, okay, I am appreciating and I'm grateful that my body functions. I have legs. I can walk. You know what I mean? I can move. I have the ability to be able to work out. You know what I mean? Like that, and like see it as like a blessing that I'm able to do that and then be like, this is the body God gave me. Can I, you know, maybe I put on 20. Didn't, but you know, maybe I did put on, but like, how can I better take care of it? Like it's really about coming from a place of love though. Like you'll never get to your goal or whatever, even if your goal is to get healthier. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with, you know, desiring, you know, I want to take care of my temple. There's nothing wrong with desiring to take care of your temple, living a healthier lifestyle, but it has to come from a place of love because that's when I started being able to appreciate the results I was, you know, I like having too, you know what I mean? Because it was coming from a place of, I love my body, so I'm going to nourish it with this. And now I feel better, you know what I mean? Like I have more energy, like focusing on those types of things rather than just like, I just want to look skinny. Like focus on how you want to feel as well. You know what I mean? I want to have more energy. I want to be able to live longer. You know what I mean? I want my joints and things to work. You know what I mean? Like, but it literally wasn't until I did it from a place of love, health, mental health. It helped my mental health, like working out, eating healthier. You know, it really, really improved that. So, but it wasn't until then that I was able to, just truly like, love my body.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like coming to a place of acceptance too, because I feel like you appreciate the journey more if you can actually like relax and accept who you are. Because like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not putting you on the spot, but my sister's got curves. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like, and it's a blessing. And it's like, well, once you're able to accept that about yourself, like, this is my body. This is the body God gave me. This is the skin that God gave me. This is the nationality God gave me. This is a race that God gave me. And there are beautiful things about it. You know what I mean? And really just relax into that. You know what I mean? Like, I found that there's been so much freedom in just me, like, owning every single thing about myself, even the things that I don't like about myself. Like, I have awareness that, yes, I need to, you know, get my hot head under control, and I need to maybe not be as stubborn sometimes, but like, and, you know, maybe some other things, like I could be insecure sometimes, but like, I know that about myself, and yet and still God loves everything, and he created me with intentionality and purpose. So even if how I see myself is like, it doesn't measure up. God sees the purpose besides even the weaknesses that he gave me. You know what I mean? Like, he sees the purpose behind every single detail of who I am. And so even if it's a weakness now, like, he's going to use it to bless other people. Because if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be able to sit here today and share that with you guys and share that with people. And if you guys hadn't gone through what you went through, you wouldn't be able to bless other people. So I can relax and be like, yeah, like, everything about this journey and this story was intentional, and like it makes sense. And then when you go on and you know, go through your next thing, you're like, this is probably 5 years down the line, or maybe even sooner than that. It's probably going to end up blessing somebody. So let me relax. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean that I have to give into it, but it means that I can be like, you know what? I'm not going to have a weakness and then hate myself for the weakness either. You know what I mean? Like, God created me exactly how I am supposed to be. Everything about me, he knows. And the things that are not from him, he's going to shut off anyway. You know what I mean? Along the way. So just relaxing, breathing, accepting, like, that's helped me a lot in my journey of freedom. Yeah.
That's good.
I'm curious, low-key, like, have you guys ever, so like, that was like a lot of like the physical, like, have there been other things that have made you guys feel like insecure, like, whether it's like, you know, a mental thing or whatever?
Okay, so when you talked about accepting, I've had to accept a role, and it's crazy because before coming into this role, I was strictly volunteer, and I kept getting invited to this table, and every time I got to the table, I would have this thought of, you're not supposed to be here. You're barely doing anything. And it wasn't until like the previous time I went to this table, God was like, say your I ams before you go into this, knowing that I chose you for this. I chose you to be in this at this table. And then I got hired shortly after, and God was like, I trust you in this. I trust you here. I've called your seat. I've called your name to this seat. Like, just sit in it. Just be there. I just need you to show up. But yeah, the I ams have helped me a lot before going into that room, because it's the thoughts in your head that can really hold you back. And not allow you to be your 100% self.
I have dyslexia, and so sometimes it messes up with, like, I like stutter. Sometimes my mind is just a little mess. And then, so not only is it like reading, but then also sometimes it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I can't talk well. And so I feel like it's always like the little mental things, like, especially like speaking, like on a podcast, I would have never thought, because I'm like, oh, well, like, was it Gideon in the Bible who was like, why, like, I'm the least from
the least tribe, the least in the least tribe.
And so that's what I always think of. And then it's Aaron too in the Bible, right? No, not Aaron. Aaron spoke for Moses.
Yeah.
Because Moses is like, come on now, like. And so I feel like I always catch myself like in that state. I'm like, I feel like I can't talk well. And I had to get over that, because I'm like, no, you can. Like, God called you to it. And like, it's just my own self, my own like thoughts that are holding me back. And so like, then when I get to the point where I'm like, oh, it's my own thoughts? Wait, I'm supposed to be doing this? Like, maybe that's why those thoughts are coming into my head, because like, what if my words are impactful? Yeah. Like, just pushing through that like little bit of fear and like the self-esteem, like, I'm just going to do a little bit and like see what happens. Like, if God called me to it, like, he trusts me with it. That's so I'm just going to do like little baby steps. So if he called me to speak, I'll speak on his podcast. And if I stutter, I'm like, you know, it's like, I'm not the first person ever. I'm not the first person ever.
Girl.
And so just working through that. And yeah, so it's just constantly like growing up, and until now, I'm like, I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I know how to speak. I know English. I can read. I can write.
No habla español.
Yeah. Not quite. Still getting English down. But yeah, I just have to fight those every day and remind myself, like, I can't say that. I can't say I'm dumb. God called me to this. I'm supposed to do it. So.
That's right. What are some things that aren't like physical low self-esteem issues, but like more like maybe internal, mental,
like internal,
emotional?
mental.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I should start talking, because I think I don't know how I'm going to round out this point by any means, or how it's going to like.
That happens often.
Just do it.
Just start talking. I don't know if it's just like a statement. Okay, one of, I think, my biggest insecurities that's been there for a while that I still struggle with, but I've like learned to fight back, is I think like feeling like unseen.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that's a really, really big one for me. I think I know growing up, I was a lot different than I am now. I was a lot different than the Taya you see before you. I was a bit of a little bit of a fast girl. You know, I loved attention. You know, loved men. You know, still do, but that's a little different. Yeah, anyway, love you just now. Anyway, you know, so I was a little fast. I was flirtatious, and I think, you know, I got my heart broken, and that kind of shut that down. I was like, oh my god, like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I changed a lot after I got my heart broken. And I did a lot of like inner work, inner healing to realize like why I wanted the attention so bad, and why, you know, I had that strong desire to just feel like noticed by somebody, and why I would entertain so many things. And even after, you know, going through a lot of healing, and I felt like I was a different person, you know, after years of, you know, work and, you know, inner work, realizing, why I was the way I was. And I still felt like I was attracting the same type of men. Same type of men that were like, didn't see like my heart. They didn't see like me for who I thought I had like really grown into. I felt like they would always see me or treat me like that little girl, that girl that was flirty and, you know, flirt with everybody. You know, like I felt like that for a really, really long time. And I know that like really affected my self-esteem, because I was like, God, like, I feel like I've grown so much, like I'm not her anymore. So why do I feel like people are still seeing me as her? And I think even sometimes, like, and it was more than that. I think, you know, I was a little sneaky, all that stuff. And so even like sometimes family members still, I felt like were still putting me in that sneaky box when I had, you know, like grown so much. And so I think that growing, I just felt very, very, very unseen. Like I've grown so much. I'm not even that person anymore. So like, why am I still getting treated like I am that? And I think that like deeply affected my self-esteem. It didn't necessarily, well, I guess it just made me, because I knew that I had grown. Like I knew that. I understood that. I was like, I know I've grown. I know I don't do this anymore. I know I don't do that anymore. But it just like deeply hurt me that I felt like no one else saw that I wasn't that person anymore. And so I think that that's been a very, very big struggle for me. There's 1,000 points I could make, honestly, about just struggling with different things. Because, woo, your girl be struggling. But that was definitely a big one. Just feeling unseen.
Well, we see you.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
We see you.
And that's going to bless somebody. Somebody's going to connect exactly to that.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to speak to that too. Like, I think that, like to you, I want to speak to you, but I think that, you know, the reality is like the attraction that some of those types of people have towards you has nothing to do with your growth, or if you had not grown, it has more to do with them. You are an attractive woman, right? You are an attractive woman, not just because of who you are physically, but because of who you are on the inside. And raggedy men still want good women. And it's like, you can't really help that. All you can do is just be able to get sharper in your discernment to be able to filter like, I could see that. You know what I mean? Like all you can do is kind of get sharper in your discernment, but like trusting and honoring that, you know, and knowing that you are an amazing person. You are, you know, what most, if not all men should find as a catch, you know what I mean? And so, you know, the unfortunate thing is like, you know, you don't want to be caught by everybody. You don't want to be caught by all these people, you know what I mean? So, and you don't allow yourself to be. But it has nothing to do with the way that you've grown. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, there's only one man for you. Yes. And thinking about that in a world where there are so many options is a little bit scary. But I think that when you come to a place, which I know you're likely at right now, is like when you come to a place where like, I'm not settling. Like the next man is gonna be my husband. You know what I mean? Yep. And that is what it is. Like, and so just keep it But yeah, but just allowing God to like tighten your discernment, because it's, you know, they're going to come. They're going to come. Yeah. They're lined up at the door right now. And you just have to literally just get sharper. Am I doing this? Sharper in your discernment as far as like, who do I let in and who do I not? But knowing that it has nothing to do with how much you've grown and your value and who you are. Just like on the flip side, now I'm switching it up. For me, remember we talked about this, like we had the opposite. We had the same hurt, but we handled it in different ways. I ran from men. Like literally, I would see a cute man at the mall walking towards me, and I wish I could do it, but I have to sit down. But like I would like start taking off in the opposite direction. Like I literally was just like, I feel so like uncomfortable if a man is showing me attention. Like, of course, like I wanted it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Flirt, what's that? Like I was just like this like complete opposite. And then unfortunately when I went into college, you know, I mean, I came into more confidence, so I was able to flirt a little bit more, and then I got into wrong situations. But we had the same pain, but we dealt with it differently. So the point that I was getting at is just like how you are still attracting men that you don't want, and it has nothing to do with your worth. If you feel like you are not attracting men or you're running from men, that also has nothing to do with your worth. Yeah. So like at the end of the day, like your worth is based in God and God alone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Period. Point blank. Shut the cameras off. Your worth has absolutely nothing to do with the world environment. If you're a man, your worth has nothing to do with how many women are lined up at your door. I promise you. Mm-hmm. Women line up at the door for any kind of man. You know what I mean? So like, if your value is based on that, you are always going to be needing that from people. And what happens when you're an old man and they're gone? Or what happens when you're an old woman and they're gone? You want somebody in your life that loves and values and respects you for who you are on the inside, because that is eternal. And who you are on the inside is affirmed by one and one person only, and that's God. So, you know, I just pray for anybody who's watching to really, really just own and allow themselves to be centered and grounded in that. Because once you really, really have that, nothing can take it away from you. Am I right? Like, once you have that, like, there's really nothing. It's set. It's set in stone, and it never goes away. Amen. Yeah.
It's a mic drop.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Well, I have questions. I just wanted to. You have anything to add, or are we good?
We're good.
Okay.
I think we're good.
So I'm very practical. And so I'm literally sitting here thinking, like, I've already gotten to the point where I've accepted myself, who I am. I've learned to be happy with who I am, all that. But I'm thinking for the person who's not even there. Like, how do I even get to the point of accepting myself? Like, how do I even get to the point where I start my healing? And like, maybe you can kind of draw from like, where did you guys get to the point where you just accepted yourself? Like, was there an event or a moment that happened that you were like, okay, maybe I can see like how low my self-esteem is. Maybe I need to switch that.
I think one thing that I've been doing lately a little bit, and hopefully this does answer your question, but one thing I've been doing lately is like, okay, like say like something bothers me, like something that I feel like shouldn't bother me. I'm trying to think of an example. I ask myself a lot of questions. I'll say that. Like I question everything. I question like everything that I do. I'm always like, so like if something affects me, I'll be like, why does that bother me? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? What is that? What is it triggering inside of me? What insecurity is that like poking at? I think it really comes down to asking yourself those questions. Yeah, that's a big one. Why does this bother me? Why is this affecting me the way that it is? And then going from there, like being like, well, it affects me because it pokes at the fact that at this insecurity or at this, you know what I mean? And I think that once you kind of get to the root of it, you know what I mean? Because it really is about getting to the root. Like, it's not just like, you can't just be like, oh, it bothers me just because it bothers me. Like, there's always a deeper reason why something really, really affects you deeply if it's affecting you in that way. Like, so you can't just, and I just need to stop letting it affect me. Like, no. You need to figure out why that thing is affecting you. Yes. And, get to that root. Get to that, even if it's scary. You know what I mean? Even if it triggers, like, a worse fear that you have. I know for me, like, I want to give an example. Okay, so another fear of mine is like, or another thing that I've struggled with is like feeling like I'm not being chosen. I have like this thing in my head sometimes, and a lot of my stuff I feel like is relationally, but like that, like no man that I ever respect or like is actually gonna like me back. Like that's like a deep, I know, and that's like a really like intense statement, but that's something that's like sometimes in the back of my mind because I've experienced, like obviously, a bunch of, knuckleheads. And I'm like, no, get out of here. I'm not settling. But then sometimes I feel like the people that I feel like I respect and, oh, this would be an amazing person, they'd be a great husband, all that stuff. When they don't choose me and they choose someone else, it's like confirming that belief that I already have a little bit. It's like, oh, well, there it is. That's why, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna be, and for me, I'm like, I won't settle. So I'm like, I'll just be alone forever. There it is. Lone wolf for life. I'm not, that's a solution. No more love. But that's, not no more love. So I've obviously come to believe that, like, no, that just wasn't the person for me. You know what I mean? Whatever God has for me, it's not gonna miss me. It's if it's there, if it's mine, it's always gonna be mine. Right. So take the pressure off. But hold on, I was going somewhere with that. Where did I start off? Yeah, I'll be like, why did it affect me that person didn't choose me? And I'll be like, yeah, because it confirms that underlying feeling that I won't be chosen by someone that I actually like. Why do I feel like that? Oh, because I have an insecurity that it's really about getting deeper into it and finding what your like belief. It's about your belief system, I feel like, too. Like, what's that underlying belief in your head? That's a lie. Like, when I say it, I know you guys' reactions were like, when I said, like, I have an underlying belief that, but because, like, that should be the reaction, because it's so not true. Yes. You know what I mean? Girl, it is so untrue. You know what I mean? And that's why I think it's important to get to the root of it, because you won't be able to, you know what I mean? If you don't, you won't be able to find that lie and realize, like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? That's insane. That is so not true. But I think it takes getting down to that root so you can get there and combat that lie. It's like, no, that just, if somebody chose someone else and not, then that just means that it wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do, I think we talked about this. It has nothing to do with, I'm just not they didn't see me as work. No, it just wasn't the right fit. Exactly. You know what I mean? It just wasn't what God actually had for me or for you or whatever. So I think it's about, but to answer your question, getting to the root will change your life. And then for me, I journal, I write it out so that I have it in writing. And so when I come to that root and I'm like, well, that's a lie. Well, that sounds crazy. You know what I mean? That sounds insane. And then writing out the actual truth so that I can meditate on that too. And that, so I don't have to, or whenever I feel like I'm triggered by that, you know what I mean? I can go back to that truth. This is what's actually true. This is the lie that's trying to come up again. You know what I mean? And this is what's actually true.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Very good that you said that. I do the same thing. And I still have like my little notes that I started, because my self-esteem was at its lowest point, and then I met the Lord. So I built my self-esteem like with the Lord, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I would do things like that. And I would just be praying like, Lord, help me discern the thoughts that are from you and then not from you. Mm-hmm. And I remember it got to the point where it was so obvious, where I remember one day I felt like the enemy told me, you have no substance. You're nothing. And I was like, ooh.
That's not it. Yeah,
that's not me. Yeah. And so, you know what I started doing? I'm like, well, it must be the opposite. Exactly. So then I would get out my little phone, and in the moment, I'd be like, you're worthy. You're enough. I'm like, thanks. You just gave me a little compliment in like a weird roundabout way. Exactly. Like, oh, I look so ugly today. That's not from me.
That's right.
Yeah. The Lord says I'm beautiful. So I'm beautiful. The Lord doesn't lie. And so, combating that and doing like the actual step in the moment. Like, actually, I'm going to stop you right there before you can do any damage, before you can like get comfortable in my head. I'm like, I'm going to kick you out right now.
Yeah. Because we don't realize sometimes that those thoughts are literally from the devil. Like straight up, like you said, they're literally not our thoughts. I know I told y'all a story about, I was, having like a rough day or whatever. And I was like so negative. And I was trying to do, I literally told you guys this story. So I'm just telling the podcasters. But I was like I just need some self-care. I just need to do my full face, like my full face routine and all that stuff. And I was trying to combat my negative thoughts with like a lot of practical stuff. Was not working for your girl. Struggled the whole day or whatever. And then I was just like sitting there with my negative thoughts with an attitude and all that stuff. And then I got a thought, I was just like, and everybody hates. It was all this craziness. It was so ridiculous, guys. It wasn't ridiculous. It was just a rough day. I'm trying to be gentle with myself. I'm practicing that. And not like judging myself or saying things that, But anyway, so, and then like a thought came in my head and it was like, you're a literal piece of trash. And I said, now hold on.
Yeah.
Now hold on. Like I know my thoughts. I would never, and I know myself. I know my voice. I would never say something like that about myself ever.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I said, "Devil, you just made yourself real obvious." Because and in my head, I was trying to fight with all these. Well, I just need to be gentle with myself and self-care, and tonight skincare routine, get some ice cream, all of that. But I was like fighting with the wrong tools because those voices, all of those negative thoughts, were literally coming from the devil. So, and he wanted me to believe that it was my mind, so that I wouldn't fight back with like prayer, or that I wouldn't fight I wouldn't fight back with those types of things. I would fight back with just like, doing these little things here and there that usually make me feel better when I'm just having a rough day. But it was like, no, all of those thoughts that I was getting, the reason I was so negative that day was because they were literally from the devil. Like he was really like attacking my mind.
Yeah.
So
you gotta fight dirty. If he's gonna fight dirty, you gotta fight dirty.
Listen,
like you said, there's some things that like skincare routine and eating an ice cream. There are some days where that could work, but there are some days where you literally have to go to war. Like I am about to get in my prayer closet and like just literally start rebuking things. Yes. Like I don't care how spiritual it looks. Like I'm going to start rebuking things right now because I know that this is an attack, and if I let it happen, he's trying to change your mind and the anatomy of your. I'll talk about it when I get in my answer. But like that, you gotta fight dirty. If he's fighting dirty, fight dirty back.
Fight dirty. Who fell from the sky like lightning? Not me. Not me. Together. Get him. Not me.
But I feel like you were gonna say something.
Okay, one of the things that I do is talk about it, like say my thoughts out loud, and like the reaction that you got, there are some crazy thoughts. And one thing that I love about my husband is he'll ask me, "What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about over there?" Because I get attacked so much in my mind that I'm just like silent. And then they're literally just rolling in. And then I start to unfold it. And he's like, no, that's a lie right there. That's a lie right there. So like literally say it out loud and you will notice yourself that it's like absurd. Like, and it's not from love. Like we were talking about before, like if this thought is negative or trying to bring me down, like that's not from God. Like he wouldn't say something like that. Yeah. So share it. And then even if you don't have someone that's super close, you'd be surprised how, a coworker can respond if you're not feeling down, if you just open up a little bit, but it does take vulnerability. And that's where you can start practicing.
That's so good.
Yeah, I literally was gonna just say that, like when you are able to articulate the thought out loud and actually bring it to somebody or even like writing it down, like you said, you can really, really start to unravel how ridiculously untrue these thoughts are. And how crafty of a job he's done because he's trying to tie the lie into like events and circumstances that have happened. Like, oh yeah, if I connect this instance and circumstance with this thought, boom, I can produce something in their mind. And so that's why it's so important to be intentional. Like when you have disappointing moments, to like meditate, like you said, on like what made me feel that way. Because I was gonna say, like I think you have to start seeing your thoughts as like seeds that will become a tree if you don't catch it. And I'm stealing that from somebody, I forgot what her name was. But I'll never forget, she was talking about how when you get a negative thought, if you start meditating on it, it automatically takes root. And when it takes root, it like things and circumstances will come and try to water on it and allow it to grow, and then you produce fruit literally out of that negative thought. And so that's why it's so important to catch it as soon as it comes, because if you don't catch it, it will instantly take root. It will instantly bear fruit. So you have to be really, really mindful of like, what lie is this trying to, confirm? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to let you connect. I'm not even going to let this event connect to this lie because I know that it's a lie. And also be strategic, because just as much as a negative thought can take root and bear fruit, a positive thought can take root. But you have to be intentional about meditating on it every single day. And I think that's something I'm working on in my life personally, is because sometimes, you can, have this amazing experience because, you rebuke the lies and the lies are gone and the enemy's gone. You feel free. And then the next morning you get attacked again. But it's because you have to be proactive. Like, I have to now that he's gone, he's gonna come back. So what do? I defend myself. I start building up these defenses of positive thoughts, of powerful thoughts, of true thoughts that you can connect to the word so that you have something spiritual to back it up with. So just remember to see your thoughts as a seed. Remember to see not only your own thoughts, but any thoughts and any words that somebody tries to give you. Is that a seed of negativity or is that a seed of positivity? Keep that negativity to yourself. I'm not about to take that and sow that into my own life and my own heart. No, toss it back. You can take it. We're done here. And just as much as they can do that, you can do that with your own thoughts. You can create the mind, and you can create the heart and the life that you want to have by continuing to allow those good seeds to take root and bear fruit. So you guys said it all. I'm just literally giving them an illustration off of all the amazing things that you guys said. So agreed.
No, I'm you know me with pictures and stuff. But you literally said what I was thinking. It's just building your self-esteem is just like tending a garden. Yeah. You have to go out there and find the weeds. You have to go water it. You have to make sure it's in good soil. I remember there was weeds back home. We were like, oh, it's just a little tree. It was actually a weed, and we let it grow, and then it got into the pipes. And then it starts messing with the foundation.
See?
It's you have to go out there and you have to tend your garden. And if you don't, then you find yourself oh, I'm in a relationship because this is my only worth. I'm not worth anything by myself. And so, you have to tend your garden. So I love that you said that. I love that. And kind of let's wrap it up. Yeah. Let's land the plane. What are some last final thoughts that you want to say to someone who's dealing with low self-esteem? I feel like we've already said these, amazing things, but speak to that one person that maybe is even relating to some of the things that you've said.
I think something that I would say is just don't judge yourself for going through, while you're going through your process. To give an example, one thing that I've been praying, I think I said it on another podcast, but for God to really purify my heart. And I didn't realize that when I asked for him to purify my heart, I just thought he was just going to give me a pure heart and I was just going to be so full of love and to see everything through his lens. I just thought that. But no, he's put situations in my life that are pulling on this is going to make you you know what I mean? You can either, choose to be negative and be bitter and this and that, or you can choose to walk, in a pure heart. But I think that I was judging myself because I was well, I'm just going to look at everything God's lens. And then I was it was not really helping. I wasn't really it was very ingenuine. And I was talking to my brother the other day and I was I'm trying my hardest to have a pure heart. And I just feel it's just not working. It's not I don't feel that deep within my soul. It's just on the surface level. And then I think I was talking to my sister too. And it the ugly coming out is a part of the purification process. You know what I mean? So it's literally a part of the process. So don't be scared or don't feel bad about yourself when the ugly's coming out. If I ask God for a pure heart, he's pulling out all of the nasty that's inside of me. You know what I mean? So during that process, because I found myself starting to judge myself and it was no, this should be expected. The ugly's gonna come out. That's right. It's gotta come out. How is God gonna put it, bring in the pure, bring in the love, the grace, the all, how is he gonna, build you up with that if all that ugly is just stored up? It's gotta come out. So as the ugly is coming out, as the negative, the way it might look crazy, you know what I mean? You might feel like a terrible person for a second, but don't, because that's literally a part of the purification process. God, so while you're going, low self-esteem, whatever, don't be afraid of, those parts that are coming up that you don't necessarily like, that aren't necessarily cute and pretty, because it's gonna, God, as that's coming out, and when that is finished coming out, God's gonna put all the good stuff in you, so.
Amen.
So, yeah.
That's good.
Let's let it to the You got it.
I feel like I said be gentle with yourself that first healing podcast. But let me think. Final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing was literally being gentle with yourself, like you said, and not judging yourself. I think that it's gonna get. Don't be surprised if it gets a little gritty. You know what I mean? Don't be surprised if you feel you are going backwards before you start going forward. 'Cause just any, addiction or any cycle, there's this thing called the relapse. You know what I mean? There's something, because you have a gravitational pull towards what you know and what you've been practicing and what you've been working on. So don't be surprised if it feels super heavy at first to go in the opposite direction. Oh my God. I remember there was this one time where I went on like a thoughts fast. And like, I was like, I'm going to actually not allow myself to have any negative thoughts, like about myself specifically. That was one of the hardest times of my life. Like, I had to text my friend and I was like, I am so sad that I can't believe how hard it is for me to have to fight to not think negatively about myself. Like, I actually can't believe this is happening. But on the other side of it, like, I was the most free and joyful that I've ever been in my life. So I just want to say, like, it's going to get a little gritty. It's going to get a little ugly. And it might even take some time, and hold yourself accountable. Like, have a support system around you. Like, have some people that are going to speak life into you. Have some people that if they see you backslide, they're like not going to take it. They're not going to take no for an answer. So have that support and community around you, and know that you will get to the other side. It's supposed to feel heavy at first because it's a mind switch, and mind switches are just as hard, if not harder, than any sort of like physical switch that you want to do. So mind work is hard and it's gritty, but please do it. Please do it, because you are worth it, and because there is a beautiful, beautiful other version of your life on the other side of combating that low self-esteem. So God's got you. He's going to take care of you, and just trust the process, really.
That was beautiful. Yeah, to piggyback off of everything you guys said, because everything you guys said was so, so good. Just lean in gently. Just lean in. Take it very, very slow and trust the process. Because like you can see here, all of our stories, all the examples, we're still in the healing process. There's never a point where it's like, okay, I'm all the way healed. There's constantly going to be things that you're going to face that are going to be tough. There are going to be situations that this point of healing can't happen until you get there. For mine, it was marriage. It was dating with God. So just know that it's all a process, and take your time.
Amen. I really enjoyed this conversation today. This
too.
blessed me. And I thought I was doing good.
That thoughts fast? Ooh.
Yeah, I might need to try that.
I need to do it again.
So.
I need to do it again. Yeah. I need to unwind. Let's do it.
So good.
Thoughts fast.
Yes. Awesome. Well, yeah, I enjoyed this. Thank you for joining us today and for joining us for our second ever ladies chat. This was a lot of fun. But yeah, if this impacted you in some way, comment down below, type in the chat. We want to hear from you guys. There's also a way that you can talk to us directly. We have a group chat. We have a Discord. And you will find that in the link down below in the description. Connect with us. If you don't have that community to hold you accountable, we have that community. We're growing that. And we want you to be a part of it. So click that link down below and hopefully we'll see you there. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Bye.